All right, everyone ready to go? Cool. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Higher Ed's March edition of our First Friday Chat. Today we are joined by Shawna and Tashina from the University of Arizona. My name is Davina Leone, and I'll turn it over to our Higher Ed staff to introduce yourselves.
Good morning and welcome everybody. My name is Danelle Prieto. I'm community member from Salt River. I'm one of the 4 advisors here in higher education. Thank you.
Go ahead, Andrea, ladies first.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Stanley, and I am the new Higher Education Administrative Secretary.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mario West. I am one of the 4 higher education advisors here in the office. I look forward to hearing your presentation. I'm glad to be here with you all.
Thank you, and now we will turn it over to you all.
Awesome, thank you. Good morning. My name is Shawna Nelson. I am an admissions counselor from the Office of Admissions at the University of Arizona.
Good morning. My name is Tashina Machain. I am the outreach coordinator for Arizona Indians into Medicine program for the University of Arizona. I am based in the Phoenix Medical School campus, but often do commute down to Tucson.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining us today.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to get started with just some general information about the university. I'm in your space, so if there's ever any questions, I think you can pop them in the chat, whether to me directly or in general. But make yourself as comfortable. If you like your camera off, etc., that's up to you. I'm here in your space. I first want to acknowledge that the University of Arizona resides on the homelands of the Tohono O'odham and Pasco Yaqui people. The university strives to build sustainable relationships with these communities through education offerings, partnerships, and community service, especially as a land-granted institution. Now, the University of Arizona is located in Tucson, Arizona, so it's about a good hour-and-a-half drive safely south of Phoenix location. Tucson itself is one of the top-rated college towns in the U.S., in the top 50 there. There's also locations in the city area, as well as we have a landscape of mountains, Mount Lemmon nearby. So there's tons of areas that you can go hiking and such. There's over 300 days of sunshine. So living in the valley, we know that it's the same down there. We've got some other kinds of weathers that's really awesome. And again, a lot of areas that you can travel. If you've only been in northern Arizona, it's a great also opportunity to explore southern Arizona. Now, the university itself was established in 1885. It is the first, Arizona's first university. We have over 49,000 students enrolled, with over 38,000 of those being undergraduate students. Our ratio is a 15-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Now that may make sense, like as you get further into your major, into your degree, you have smaller classes. But maybe the first year or two, you might have some huge classes, but that's totally fine because there's teachers' assistants and other advisors and people that are going to be there to help you in those large classes. The university houses over 300 different types of majors. So anything from getting a double major, doing a minor. There's a lot of opportunities at the university. Some notable ones is our veterinary program is really taking off. So there's a lot of veterinary opportunities on campus. A lot of students also are interested in business, digital arts, fine arts, health professions, because we have some notable opportunities that Tashina will talk about later. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I thought that was a question. Yeah, so there's a whole vast of majors that you can look into. Just to note that the #1 major for incoming freshmen is actually undecided. So it's totally okay if you come to a university or higher education and you're still unaware what it is you want to do. That's perfectly fine. You can go to Arizona.edu/degree search to see all the different types of majors that we offer. Now, when you leave the university, we don't want you to just graduate with a degree, but have that skill set of getting opportunities and being involved on campus, whether it's internships, campus jobs, capstone courses, volunteering, student government, or even research. So as mentioned, like we are one of those top schools for research in itself, and there's so many different aspects of research in terms of like what degree you're interested in doing as well. It's also important to note that when you go to any place, any location for higher education, to always scope out all of the student support services. They're there to provide you with resources and aid you in anything. Some notable ones that we have are our A Center, which is where a majority of our advisors are located, as well as First Cats. First Cats is a program for first generational student, meaning maybe someone in your immediate family have not gone to college before. So there's a lot of questions that we don't know to ask until we get there. So the advisors and the mentors at First Cats are there to help you. We also have our SALT Center, which is an alternative way of thinking center, where if maybe you have a hard time taking notes or if you have a hard time taking exams, the advisors and people at the SALT Center will be there to help you. So it's always important to look and see like what kind of services are at your campus. In addition, our social life on campus is very active. We have over 600 plus different clubs and organizations on campus. So, and if there's something that's not there that you want to bring to campus, you can totally start a club with some friends. That's also an opportunity. But as a student, as an undergraduate student, you have a lot of access to free events, opportunities that non-students may not have. Some notable things that we do have is our Division I sports team. Our student section is called the Zona Zoo. So there's students organized. They have like a whole section there to cheer on a team. We are men's basketball, women's softball. They always make it to the playoffs. So there's always a lot of action. And this kind of incorporates how the Tucson community comes to campus, because the university is so integrated in Tucson life in general that the community is always coming to campus, and the campus itself and students are flooded throughout Tucson. So something I didn't mention before in the last slide was the university hosts a Spring Fling, which is the nation's largest student-run carnival. It happens right on campus. Everyone from the Tucson area comes to campus. Everyone on campus has a nice chance to get away from studying and get to relax and have a fun time. So those are some things that you can do while you're on campus. That's a lot of fun. When I'm talking about living on campus now, we have our housing and residential life. So we have 23 different dormitories with over 7,600 students living in those locations. It's great to note that students who live on campus are likely to graduate within 4 years, so in their 4-year degree, as well as have a higher GPA than those students who live off campus. So it's important to investigate, look into what housing options that you may be interested in. We have everything from having your own private room to having a roommate to having 3 roommates and sharing a kitchen area. So there's a lot of possibilities with our housing and residential life. Some also great opportunities is through our theme communities. So if you're interested in STEM, honors, fine arts, if you also identify as Native American, African American, that's Latinx, there's communities where you can be involved in those living arrangements. So you would live with other students, other students. You'll have the same RA. They'll do evening and weekend workshops and trips together, so you can kind of have a cohort of a family that you get to live with and do activities with. So if you're interested, you can check out all the different floor plans at housing.arizona.edu. If living on campus is not your option or you're transferring in later, we do have a transfer community, FYI. But you can also utilize the university's off-campus.arizona.edu option, where you can see some availability for off-campus housing. And our applications, they open up as early as August, and the priority deadline to meet the housing application is going to be May 1st. So if you're interested in coming this coming fall, then May 1st will be that deadline for you. Now, talking about financial aid, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this, but the university has a guaranteed tuition plan, which means the tuition and mandatory fees that you enter into the university won't change for those 8 consecutive semesters for you. So if the university fluctuates the tuition in the coming year or years later, that won't affect you because you'll be like grandfathered into that tuition plan, which is a great opportunity to also really focus on your financial aid. And one of the biggest things that we have is the free application for federal student aid. We ask students to have this and submit it to the university. The university does have a code you can send it over to. And that priority filing date is going to be April 1st. So if you're looking at something for this coming fall, it's important you have a month left to get that in. Once we receive your application, you're admitted, and we get your FAFSA, the university and the Pell Pledge grant could be awarded to you. So you'll get information about financial aid specific for you a few weeks after the fact. And then we have other tuition awards such as our Dean Exemplary Award, National Scholars Award. We also have transfer tuition awards, and we'll get into about transfer students in a little bit, but that's about financial aid. Again, this is just a reminder that the deadline is going to be April 1st. You can access this at studentaid.gov. For our Wildcat Tuition Awards, we have here in the first column a GPA, and that is based off of your 6th semester core unweighted GPA from your high school transcript. This can be different for transfer students. So you'll see that Resident Wildcat Award column. You don't have to worry about the last one, non-resident. So Resident Wildcat Award, based off of your GPA, you could be granted a Wildcat Tuition Award based off of that GPA. So if you have a 3.79, you could get $8,000 for the year. It is renewable as long as you meet the qualifications every year. So that's something that you can look forward to. Now for Resident Transfer Merit Awards, these are offered for students who are bridging or transferring into the university. It has a limit to like how many units you can utilize this for, and there's a lot of eligibility in terms of like your GPA, whether it's you can have, if you're in the bridge program, a 2.5 cumulative. If you're a transfer, at least a 3.0 GPA, and it can range anywhere from that 2,000, 3,000. PTK is Phi Theta Kappa, which is a honor society. If you have that membership, there's also another opportunity for those transfer merit awards. In addition to those opportunities, we receive your information from you, and we are hopefully to grant it out to you, but it's also important for you on your end to apply for scholarships. So the university has this great search engine called Scholarship Universe. It has an opportunity, it's where you have the opportunity to create a profile, and the university has scholarships within the university, and they also have knowledge of public scholarships, and it will pull what you're eligible for based off of your profile, and it will just have it in your account. So that way you have to go through it, see what you're eligible for, see if you want to apply, and go through that system to apply to scholarships. So it's easier. You don't have to like Google search everything. It's kind of all right there for you. It also has a filter for deadlines, so that way you can kind of see what's due this week, what's due next week, what's due this month, and then it even gives you an idea of like how much you could be awarded. So me doing it simply the other night, I was up to like 90 grand as a graduate student. So there's opportunities. It's just having to have that commitment and that time to filling out those scholarships. But scholarshipuniverse.Arizona.edu is there for you. And that is only accessible if you are an admitted student. So you'll have to have like a student ID to be able to log in. Now we're going to talk quickly or in-depthly about the application. Our applications open on July 1st, and the deadline we have set is for May 2nd. So applying to the university is an online application. It can take as little as 30 minutes. When you start filling out your application, you should be able to provide your completed and in-progress high school courses. There is a $50 application fee, but there is a waiver for it if you need it as well. Right now, ACT and SAT test scores are not required, and these are the classes we're going to be looking for. Earlier, when I had mentioned about the Wildcat Tuition Award, the core unweighted GPA, these are the classes. So 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 years of lab science, 2 years of the same second language, 2 years of a social science, one of them being American history, and 1 year of fine arts or of career and technical education. Now, it's important to note that these are we're taking the grades from the tuition awards from your GPA all the way up to your junior year. If you're a senior, you would show these as in progress. We also ask for official transcripts at the end of semesters just to verify the classes that you're finishing up in your senior year. And we are also going to be, we talked about the classes, the application fee. A personal statement is optional if you would like to submit it, like say if you want to just explain some grades or your situation, you can totally submit a personal statement, but it's not required. And the ACT, SAT scores are optional, so there may be scholarships that you may be eligible for based off of your ACT and your SAT scores too. And a letter of recommendation is not required. Now, you can be assured admission if you rank in the top 25% of your graduating class, or if you have an unweighted GPA of a 3.0 or higher in those core classes that we just talked about. So this is like a comprehensive view. We also have supplemental application if you are interested in the honors college, if you're interested in theater, fine arts, a bachelor of fine arts. They're asking for a little bit more information. It may be like letters of rec, a personal statement, some activities resume in there, but that all depends on like what it is you want to go into specifics. For the honors college, it's just those 3 things: a letter of rec, a resume, and a personal statement. So those 3 things. Now, the university we're located in Tucson is our main campus, but we also have different areas, like there's a location in Chandler, North Valley, Gilbert. We also have some locations really south of us out here. We also have Arizona Online. So there's a lot of opportunities if you're a transfer or if you're looking at maybe spending a year or 2 before going to the U of A, you can go ahead and get a degree wherever you feel comfortable. Now, to be considered a transfer student, if you're 21 or younger, you can have 12 or more transferable credits, at least a 2.0 of that college or the university GPA, and a 2.5 cumulative unweighted high school GPA, and you have fulfilled those courses from those core classes that we were talking about. So that's if you're 21 years or younger when you're applying. If you are 22 or older, you can be considered a transfer student if you have 12 or more transferable credits from post-high school or at least a 2.0 recalculated college university GPA. So those are the difference for our transfer students. If you have any questions, if you have a different situation or like your birthday's right on that deadline, it could really be up to you, like when you apply. Again, applications open July 1st, that deadline being in May for the fall. As for transfer students, it's kind of open because we're fluid when students are coming to the university. But again, it's all up to you. And we're here if you have any questions. If you have not been to campus, we always encourage students, families, and friends to come on down to Tucson, do a campus tour. It's a great opportunity to see what we're offering. And if you feel comfortable there, you're going to be growing as an adult in your profession. And if the U of A, you step on campus and the U of A is awesome and you feel at home, awesome. If you get to Tucson and U of A and you're like, I don't want to be here, and it just feels off, great too, because then you know that U of A isn't for you. So that's totally fine. Our campus tours are open. You can log on to Arizona.edu/visit to schedule a tour. Or also if you just like make an impromptu visit to Tucson, we do take walk-ins too. And you can also go there to see a virtual tour if you can't make it to Tucson as well. That's our information for admissions. If you guys have any questions, you can hit up that phone numbers during the business hours or email us at admissions.arizona.edu. So that's my information about the university in general. And I'll share my information if anyone asks, but in general, if there's no questions, I'll hand it over to Tashina, who has more in-depth about our health sciences.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So for the University of Arizona, we have a lot of health-focused majors, as Shawna had pointed out. I am with Arizona Indians into Medicine program, and through our program, we help students who identify as Native American navigate their pathway to any type of health profession that they envision themselves going into. And this, even though University of Arizona is a major university, and we do have 2 medical schools, one in Tucson and then one here in Phoenix near our downtown campus, which is actually almost directly across from Chase Field. So we're in a great location. And students can range from PAs all the way to surgical medical students. But we also work with our partnering agencies all over Arizona. So Midwestern, A.T. Still University, Maricopa Community Colleges, Pima Community Colleges, because students always come from different avenues, and we understand that a focus in majors can change and can change often. So one student might say they want to go into surgical technology at a community college, and then once they complete that, they have an inkling to go higher education and pursue a medical degree. So we're here for all of it. University of Arizona has 4 college health sciences in public health, nursing, college of medicine, and pharmacy. So, and I specialize particularly in youth K through 12 outreach. So I help students from kindergarten all the way hosting hands-on activities, whether it's, properly washing your hands, learning, how to moderate your heartbeat, all the way to high school students where we get them more involved with, surgical skills, learning about the different types of anatomy, doing sheep heart dissections and sheep eyeballs dissections, so that they can sort of get the feel of what anatomy takes. So we also help our partners through the Four Corners area. We have a Four Corners Alliance with the medical schools from Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona to host an annual event for aspiring medical students, so in the undergrad fields, all the way to those students who have taken the MCAT, to learn about what it takes to properly submit a medical school application, how to prepare for a health career. But my presentation, I love to present to our high school students about how to prepare for a medical career in high school. A lot of students think that medical school education only starts once you get accepted into a university. And I'm here to show a little bit background on how they can start that preparation in high school. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I think this is it. Can everybody see my screen? Awesome. So how do I become a health professional? It comes with an understanding that right now in our medical services, there are 0.56% that identify as Native American and are actively practicing in our health services. 38% said that of medical students that enter into medical school have a desire to actually work in underserved areas, and that includes refugee communities, migrant communities, Native American communities, and rural areas. 99% of our medical schools have policies and programs in place that cater towards diversity, but only 11% of those MD granting schools offer American Indian health science content so preparing to actually work in a health field in our Indigenous communities, only 11% of our schools actually offer that content. So you can see that there's a large need. So starting in high school, I always encourage my students to research. See what type of health professions you're interested. We have some students and some professionals that have a high interest in dental. And then once they actually get into that field, seeing that they have to work with saliva or cavities is something that they're like, okay, maybe I didn't want to work in this. So research all these different types of health professions there are out there. There is so many different avenues, from your art degree all the way to dance degree, that will help you to become a successful health profession. And it all starts with that research of what type of health professions are actually of interest to students. Of course, as Shawna had highlighted, the core competencies for science and maths for high school students to be aware of. So I'm here to say any health profession students can go into. Once they go into university, they can major in anything. They don't have to be pre-med students to go to medical school. We have one student who actually was a dance major, and she did very well in her science and her mathematics. So when she applied to medical school, she was a very well-rounded student, and is actually in medical school right now in her clinicals. So you can go into any major that you want to once you reach college. Just do well in your sciences and your math courses. And these are A's and B's for those sciences and math courses from undergrad all the way, if you decide to go into a graduate career, do well in those sciences. Getting involved in the health world, there are so many avenues that students can tap into right now, especially with our transition to virtual, that they don't technically have to have a membership for, meaning they have to pay an annual membership. They can get involved and get access to summer programs, scholarships that are throughout the nation that they can actually qualify and apply for. So ACES which is our science technology program for Native American students. And then taking advantage of opportunities that students have. So I'm not only talking about, getting into the summer program of choice, I'm also talking about taking opportunities to learn about financial awareness, or how to write a personal statement. Etiquette classes actually go a long way and actually make a student very, very well-rounded. And I have to say, medical students do take an etiquette class once they get to university. So that's something to start looking for when teachers are putting on these micro workshops to learn how to network properly, how to create a budget plan. So getting involved in those. And then, of course, developing leadership skills and resume. I always suggest to students, if you have a planner, if you have like a little notebook that you doodle in, make sure that you're writing down all the experiences that you are involved in, whether it's volunteering 5 days a week at the hospital, or babysitting your nieces and nephews, no matter how rowdy they are, for 10 minutes or 10 hours on a weekend or something like that, helping to coach a little league team. Those are the things that you want to write down and put on a resume. I always use this nifty exploring health careers, and it's a wonderful tool for our teachers as well, that sort of highlight student experience on getting to know how to apply to colleges, they have those mini workshops, but they also have a way for you to explore various health professions. And when you go through that, you just click on Explore Health Professions, and all these different health professions will come up. And it'll tell you about, you know, what the salary range is, how many years of education you're going to have to take in order to get that. So if a student says they want to become a CNA and they only want to do 4 years of education, if they can see, oh, I have to do maybe 6 years. It also has links to scholarships that are particularly for that health profession. So it's a great website to explore and learn. And another thing that I encourage my students to understand, allied health professions versus health professional school. Allied health professions are those professions that only require at 2 to 4 years of education and oftentimes can be accomplished at community college. Phlebotomist, we've had students that finish that, of course, very, very fast, like in 6 weeks. And the only requirement for allied health profession is you have the education, and you can actually become a allied health professional by the age of 18. So 18 years old, you take a test and you can actually be a working health professional. And for health professional schools, of course, those require a bachelor's degree. You can do a graduate school degree or either just go straight into the college that is for your profession. So those surgeons, medical doctors, veterinary, those all require a bachelor's degree. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see here. Okay, so talking to a college counselor is very, very important. That's where a lot of our instructors and our counselors take place, and you have to talk to them often because you got to make sure that you're taking the core classes in high school: chemistry, biology, physics, calculus, algebra, geometry. I just heard on the news this morning, algebra, you only have to do, I think, 2 years of algebra now, or 2 semesters of algebra rather than the 4. So you be algebra 1 and algebra 2. Now they're taking away the algebra 2. That's something I learned today. But these are the core classes that all high school students are usually required to take. Not saying that these can actually be taken at a community college also for transfer over to university. So always, like, if you want to be a little extra, I talk about those classes. If you're specifically interested in a health profession, a lot of community colleges actually offer programs to students who are in high school, and they're going to be called dual enrollment students. So they'll be taking high school courses as well as college courses. And some of these classes are like medical terminology, certified nursing assistant classes, emergency services technology, public health service is something that's really, really important right now. And it's always good to take those type of classes, as well as health and behavioral sciences. These are just topics that are offered at your local community college that high school students can actually take advantage of once they are in their junior and senior year. And once you complete those classes for an associate's degree, oftentimes, like I said, a student turns 18 years old, they can actually take the qualifying test and become, for example, a certified nursing assistant right out of high school. And talking about those dual degree community college classes, these are just a few examples of the health professions that students can actually become. So certified nursing assistants, dental hygienist assistant, veterinary technician, surgical technician, emergency services technician, and then paramedic. can all be accomplished at a community college. And then these are just examples of the student associations that students can become part of in high school. Health Occupation Students of America, which is HOSA, is very, very popular. They actually offer competitions for high school students to show their skills. I recently judged one for students who were in physical therapy. So they learn at their chapters how to do physical therapy skills and then go to competitions to compete for scholarship money, to hone in their skills and show what they've learned, the education that they have, and also just their knowledge about the profession. So there's different categories for students to get involved. Association of American Indian Physicians are for like undergrad students, high school students also, as well as graduate students and medical students. A lot of our medical students are actually involved in this association because they specifically cover topics for Native American health professionals. And just a few other ones. SACNAS is another one that is very, very popular for conferences for high school students to attend because it's an array of information from workshops to networking that students can get involved in. And then, of course, in Arizona, we have our health education centers that are 5 throughout the state of Arizona that specifically work with high school students to get shadowing opportunities. So you can reach out to your local AHEC and look for those opportunities. Aspiring Docs, American Indian Science and Engineering Society, which is very popular. So those are just a few of the ones that students can get involved in, and we highly suggest. And then when we talk about other opportunities, high school experiences, volunteering opportunities, and summer experiences, I always suggest our students in high school take advantage at least 1 to 2 summer experiences to really hone in what they want to do, get a feel for life on campus at college. But some of these experiences for summer, MedStart is at the U of A, Pharmacy Camp, which is at the U of A also, and Scrubs, which is at U of A Phoenix. And then Stanford has 2 amazing summer camps that we're in touch with right now. And they want more Native American students to be part of their summer institute and offer outstanding travel scholarships for any Native American students who are interested in anesthesiology or cardiovascular surgery. So those are 2 highlighted ones. And then locally, students can get involved in Indian Health Services. Oftentimes, some locations do have shadowing opportunities so that they can prepare better in the future. And I always just say, list a bunch of different things where students can get involved, how to hone in their abilities to become a well-rounded candidate, whether or not they go into health professions or choose a different major altogether. These are just some of the skills that students can develop in their high school career to be a potential candidate. So another thing I like to tell students to consider choices once they get to that decision where they want to pursue a health career. Do they want to go to a community college or university? Do those courses that they're taking at their local community college and high school, do they transfer to the university or community college they're going to next? Because sometimes those credits don't transfer and they'll end up having to take them over again. And then, of course, how much is my education going to cost? Being a local Arizona resident, it is more cost effective to stay in state, but that's not going to say that there are scholarships out there for students to take advantage of and get their whole education paid for out of state. And one of the most important things is does the college I'm going to have the program of study I want to go into? So some colleges, some community colleges, students pick because maybe it's their favorite sports team or their family went there, but doesn't actually really have the program of study that a student wants to go into. I only use this as one example. One of our students wants to go into physical therapy. And we at the University of Arizona, we don't have an undergraduate degree for physical therapy specific, but it's something that a student can work up to. So like if they go to pre-physiology, that would be something that they work up to, where other colleges have a specific undergrad program for physical therapy. So those are just like a little few examples for students to think about when they're considering community college or university. But just for Arizona's into Medicine program, we create workshops for high school students virtually and in person. The undergraduate students, we have a program right now that we just got word that we're getting funded for, is the Lead Scholars program, which is for first-year students at the University of Arizona who have an interest in research and STEM fields. We basically watch them through their whole first year because studies do show that Native American students oftentimes drop out after their first year. And we looked into those reasons why, and it was oftentimes financial situations, wanted to move closer to home. And then also the ones that we could really help out with, I didn't feel I was succeeding. And it was because they dropped one course, didn't know how to navigate the system. So we give those students the opportunity to understand how a first-year student would be successful at the University of Arizona and create mentorship, partnerships, and cultural competency for those students. And of course, our graduate students, we help students to find mentoring positions at local clinics and hospitals, and then recruit for those students who want to go into particular fields. We also provide financial assistance. So if a student is taking an MCAT, we offer those students a stipend to pay for that prep test for the MCAT, and then reimburse them for the actual test itself. So we take away that financial need that oftentimes is a barrier for our students. And then for our medical students, we help with placement of health professionals. And then, of course, giving them the rural health experience that they need. I always just like to use this tool. So whether students are going to community college, whether they're going to university, all can lead to becoming a health professional. Just different tests, a little bit more time, more financial stability. But each avenue does take them on the pathway to becoming whichever health professional that they desire. That work just needs to be there, and University of Arizona Indians into Medicine can help them along that way. And then just like adapting to COVID, a lot of these experiences like conferences and summer programs are online now and for free. Tuition rates have decreased, particularly for Native American students, because they offer more incentives. And then cultural alternatives, a lot of companies are really adapting their information to include rural communities that were affected by COVID-19. And then volunteering experience is such a wide range now when it comes to COVID, either volunteering in clinics, doing independent studies. And then our students also can hone into their own unique experience, having COVID on the reservation. A lot of like writing samples that I see, students are really honing into how they wanted to now pursue a health profession because of their experiences with COVID-19 in their communities. So adapting is well-rounded. So yeah, let me see. How do I stop sharing? I do not know how to do that.
You'll hit the arrow again, and then it will give you an option to stop sharing.
What arrow?
It's right by, do you see like the little leave in like the right corner?
No.
Of Microsoft Teams, of the not the PowerPoint, but the Microsoft Teams app.
Let me see this one. Oh, stop sharing. Got it. It's like in the corner. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arizona Indians into Medicine is a helpful tool for all of our students. Like I said, if they're going to community college first, if they have no idea, but they still want to do a health profession, we really help them to navigate the way and create that pathway for them. We have a wonderful counselor. Her name is Josie Jin Morgan. I always call her like goddess because she can literally pick a student and plan out their whole journey from where they're at currently, the classes that they're taking, to when they can actually start taking the MCAT. So she did that for me, and I was like, okay, 4 years? Nope, I'm not ready. But it was nice to see all the classes that I could take in order to get to those. She's also the one that tells students, hey, like, you're not doing well in this class. Let's go ahead and take this class away, replace it for another, so it doesn't affect your GPA. And a lot of our students had no idea that that was the possibility. So she's the best reasoning person for our students when it comes to grades. We also have cultural activities that we hone into for students, getting them to know different, the Pasquayaki tribe and Thanatham tribe, so that they know exactly where they're at and they can learn from those communities too. So yeah, that is mine.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. That was a lot of great information. Are there any questions at this time?
I actually had a question. So thank you, Shawna and Tashina. Appreciate your presentations. But this question is for you, Shawna. Sorry, on the spot. I was going to ask you, what are some of the top clubs or organizations that you have on campus for Native Americans?
Yeah, great question. I am going to also share my screen again because our let me pull it up first before I start talking. Okay, let's see here. Share screen again. We have a really great program called Pathways, or not Pathways. Our Native students on campus have a lot of resources that they can utilize. So this is a brochure. It's very interactive. It is online. And some of the classes that or organizations you're talking about, they're housed under our Native American Student Affairs. Not necessarily housed, but it's kind of like a central location for students to collaborate, come together in person. They house a lot of events, workshops, lectures. They bring people to campus for students. And here's some notable organizations you'll see on the screen. So we have the SACNIS chapter. Alpha Pi Omega sorority is a Native American sorority on campus. It is the first and oldest Native American sorority in the nation. We have an American Indian Science and Engineering Society, American and Indigenous Health Alliance, so for pre-health students. We also have an American Indian alumni. So when you graduate from the university, you'll have a group you can join and promote for undergraduates and for current students. We also have the Tohono Student Association and DigiCat Student Association. We also have a Miss Native American for the University of Arizona that event will be coming up in April. We also have our Native American Science and Engineering program, as well as Native SOAR, which is a mentor opportunity when either you're a student or a grad student, you can help high school students. If you're a high school student, you can also participate in that opportunity. Sometimes it's more local in Tucson. In addition, we also have Native support groups for our academics and research specific interests. For example, American Indian Studies. We also have Indigenous Peoples Law and Policy program for maybe students who are more interested in law. We also have a notable Indigenous Teacher Education program where students who are interested in elementary education can participate in this 2-year program. in towards getting more certification towards American Indian content. We also have partnership for Native American cancer prevention, along with Indians in nursing, which is similar to what Tashina was talking about with Indians into medicine. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And then just to kind of go through the rest of this brochure with everyone, I talked earlier about themed communities on campus. So this is Atamki, which is again where students will be able to live together, have the same RA, do events together, specialized workshops designed for their development. They're developing academic and professional skills. So there's that opportunity. And then in general, the Tucson area as well. So not only, again, not is it just on campus, but we have a Native community throughout Tucson. So here's some resources that we have in the area: our Native American Advisory Council, the Tohono O'odham Cultural Center and Museum, Coyote Kitchen and Gift Shop, the Tucson Indian Center, where they also provide a lot of resources and events and workshops. And then we also have Indian Health Service. So if you utilize IHS a lot, there is an IHS nearby. As a college student, it may be easier for you to access and to utilize that as well, because it's something that we're more knowledgeable with. And then this in general is also other resources. Again, has a link to our application. Next steps is there for students who are admitted, and they have to go through the process of doing your enrollment fee, paying for housing application, signing up for orientation. So that's what we're going to do at Next Steps. And then we have our New Start program, which is where you can actually take classes the summer before you start your fall semester. So students, there's scholarship opportunity for that. So like filling your FAFSA is going to be important. So that New Start program is there. We also have information for transfer students and honors college. And then the last two slides is just information and resources. We even have a specific person inside the Office of Scholarship and Financial Aid who works with tribal scholarships too. So if there's ever any situation, we have a specific person to help out with that as well. So there's some information for the FAFSA, and then our senior leadership and our Office of Admissions information's on there. So great question. Just wanted to share that as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Were there any other questions?
I have a question. Okay, so you mentioned about being grandfathered in and the tuition for the students. Now, is that just the medical students, or is that across the board for all the tuition rate when you get grandfathered?
The tuition guarantee plan is for everyone. So it's not
wow.
So if
Awesome.
you're incoming freshman, right? So if you're joining this year, and then say you have a little brother or sister that also want to go to U of A in like 5 or 6 years, and maybe the tuition went up, that wouldn't affect the older sibling. It would only affect the younger one, and then that would stay set for them.
Is that new?
I'm new to the university, so everything's new to me.
Okay, that is awesome. That's some good news to know. Thank you.
I have a quick question. So I was wondering, so like I know a lot of our students play sports in high school. So are there any opportunities for them to play, maybe not at the collegiate level, but just to continue still playing?
Yeah, definitely. We have a recreational center. We actually have 2 on campus. One is located right across from the Honors College. The other one's south of campus. And there's a lot of opportunities. Like we have one-on-one or just leagues that go on through there every semester. So there might be like a 6-on-6 volleyball team, co-ed or all girls, or there might be a touch football league where you would just gather some friends and then you can play. And sometimes even, it's been a while, but some student organizations will host like fundraisers. So they'll put a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And so events like that really circulate within the community, like the Native community, right? It's more fun. Everyone knows everyone. It's just a good time, like something to do in the evenings, on the weekends. So there's opportunities like that. Yeah.
And then they even have Quidditch.
No way. That's
so
cool.
They have a Quidditch team. I watched it. It was very entertaining.
That's amazing.
And if students also want to participate, maybe not like at a Division I level, there's also leagues. So like we have a volleyball league where one of our native students, she participates on it, and she's traveling to Texas and California and playing in really competitive volleyball. Even though it's not Division I, it's something that she participates in. We also have an equestrian team. We've had native students participate on that, where they're riding horses and they're traveling and competing. So there's things like that that students can also enjoy alongside their academics.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. Are there any more questions?
I have one last one. For those students, because we have some students that are still at home on the reservation that are thinking about going there, is there a way that they can take a tour of the housing and like an online tour?
Really good question. You can see like the floor plans and see tours. Like I always also guide students to look up YouTube videos, like students who vlog like day in the life or their dorm tours. That's also really helpful and kind of give you insight. So there's those opportunities, but right now the housing tours are closed due to COVID. So that's really closed off just for the students that are living there. But if you were to come to campus and do a campus tour, you totally would see the different variety of housing options and like students that are coming in and out, all that kind of stuff. But actually going into the rooms right now, that's not an option.
Thank you.
I also want to share lastly that we are having an Arizona experience, which is an opportunity for students to come down to Tucson, get more in-depth and information about campus. It's like an all-day event, and that's going to be coming up on April 5th, 16th. 16th? Where is it? I'm going to see my calendar. I think it's April 16th. I'm sorry. But it's also aligned with our Native American Student Affairs, so NASA. So they've included us, it's like an Arizona experience for every student who's interested, but it's also aligned with our Native colleagues and cohorts that are going to be there to support and share information with Native students too.
That's awesome. So I have one more question. So let's say a student is interested in attending the U of A, but they haven't got around to applying. Is it too late, or can they still get their application in?
Oh yeah, you can still get your application in, definitely. There is a deadline, a priority deadline set for May 2nd. So it's really great to reach that deadline. The FAFSA deadline again is going to be April 1st. So that's way before that deadline. So if anything is important to get your FAFSA in, you can always send that information out to any school you're interested in after you submit it. So FAFSA first was really important. And then yeah, getting around to your U of A application. And as soon as you start applying, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to your counselor or out to me. If not, we're probably going to end up bugging you. We'll call you, text you, be like, hey, do you need help? So there's plenty of options, and we want to make sure every student has the help that they need.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I just wanted to put it out there. So Mario and I both oversee our outreach program for higher ed. And I know that we appreciate you being able to do the virtual presentation, but we would love to have you both out next year when we are visiting our students within their schools. Would that be something that you guys are open to?
Definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a lot of great information, and I feel like, it'll be an awesome experience to just bring this to our students and show them like what's out there.
Yeah, and I found the date. It's March 19th. That's the day for the Arizona Experience and Native American College Day. It's going to be Saturday, March 19th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
All right. Does anyone have anything else, any other questions before we close out our meeting? No? All right. I want to thank you both for joining us today. I want to thank you all that will view this later. And that's our end for our First Friday chat. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.